about close reading strategies, just going through the process of what those were. And when I was demonstrating, I was using a different application that allowed me to use handwriting like I would if I were using a regular sheet of paper. So that should look familiar from the last video. What I'm going to talk about now is how to do the same thing in Word if you don't have the ability to handwrite, or if you don't have like an application that would allow you to handwrite. So one of the things I like about this, the particular app I used here, or using paper, is that even though I've highlighted some of the things, you'll notice within the highlights I've circled other things. It's harder to do that when I'm using a Word document or Google Docs or whatever. So that's really the only difference between them. There are other ways to do the annotations and the margins and stuff like that. It's just harder to be able to indicate that something has multiple things going on in it. So that's what it looks like if I'm using handwriting, an application, and or piece of paper. Now if I'm using Word, I'm on a laptop right now and I'm using Word, the online version of it, not the desktop version. You'll notice it's the same passage that I have there, and I've already highlighted something, and you'll notice that in the highlight I have a comment. That's what that's called, a comment. I don't know if anybody's ever been taught how to do that, but the highlighting is the same highlighting that I just had, and then what I did was add a comment at the end. So the easiest way to do that is when I find something that I want to highlight, so I'm going to select that, and then you'll see that it brings up its own little menu, let's say, call it that, and that's a very similar menu to what's literally right at the top of the screen. And I'm just going to select that highlight function. Now I can change to different colors here. So let's say I want to make that green. Okay, so now I've added that. To indicate that I want to, or to add a comment to that so I can kind of annotate why I highlighted that, what I'm going to do is select that again, and then you'll see it brings up new comment. I'm going to add that, and that's going to pull up a comment in the margins for me to annotate. And here I can talk about alliteration of the sound S, and I can talk about how this adds to the imagery. Okay, and then I just click that little arrow to indicate that I've sent it. Okay, now you'll notice when I'm not on the actual comment, that highlight goes away. I actually have to, if I click on the comment itself, that'll tell me where the highlight is. Because what happens is I get a lot of comments and then they'll overlap and run much farther than the length of the text. So I would have to go back through. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to do that again. So we have hitched to Hoover carts. I'm going to highlight, add a comment, and then this is the alliteration of the H sound. This is also a historical allusion to Hoover and Hoovervilles, which was a reference to the Great Depression and what was going on around that time period. Okay, so highlight it again. Easier way to do that. So if I'm on a laptop, it's easier to do it this way because you can see both the comment and the highlight side by side. I'm going to go ahead and record a version of this for using a phone so you can see what that application looks like. Again, it's going to be a little bit different. But as far as the other steps for step 0, you'll notice that just like I did in the other version, the other movie, I have the close reading. I just typed it at the bottom instead of handwriting it. And then that step 2, I can type my explanation here. So, a little easier to move around in a Word document as opposed to highlighting, and easier to edit later. So when I am assigning passages, I'm going to assign them through Word. So this would be the way you can do it. unless you have a different application. And we can talk more about different applications that provide a little bit more flexibility when you're in school, or you can let me know if you have like a mobile device that we can talk about. The particular application I used to record the last video was called Notability. It's a really good application. I wish we could get that for everybody, but it would depend on what device you're using. So that's how you use Word online.